Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today we're going to talk about a question from a viewer who asked about a previous video that I made a while back about using presets, creating presets in Adobe Camera Raw. And from there, I'm going to show you how to apply those presets simply to other pictures that you've created. And then from there, talk a little bit about XMP files. They're basically an XMP file is a sidecar file to a RAW file that lets you embed all the edits that you make from that raw file that you've got, and then when you open up that raw file, it looks for that XMP file for all of the edit information. I don't use XMP files. I'm going to show you ways that you can get away from using that. I don't like that because if you move the raw file or you accidentally delete the XMP file, then you're kind of up a creek. So with that said, we're going to show you how to improve your workflow on importing your pictures and then taking those raw files rather, and then convert them to an Adobe DNG file which embeds the edits that you have. So anyway, let's go right into Adobe Bridge next. Usually when you're shooting a ceremony, it's super dark, and so you might have the ISO cranked up. Here I've got the ISO cranked up to 2000, and for those of you who can't see that at home, it's right down here. Which, by the way, if you're using this kind of workflow, which I love this layout, because usually when you start out in Adobe Bridge, all your windows are jacked up, and I hate that. I don't know why this. Oh, here we go. So it all looks like this. Yeah, don't do that. I changed this back to where I've got like a single pane. You can do a double pane if you want, whatever. To your computer, your program, you can do whatever you want. And I don't need all of this metadata stuff down here, or EXIF data. So I'm just going to show, basically I got, my metering was set to matrix. If you're a Nikon person, you would know what that means. You got your size, your ISO, in your settings that you shot this on. If you're a big keyword person, I'm not, but I'm getting more into that. Then you can go into that and update your keywords on here. The big thing is if I go in the left-hand side in Bridge, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, is if I go into, scroll up, here I've got my exposure times, my aperture values, focal lengths. You can set all sorts of different setups for this, but if I go into everything with a high ISO rating, so here's everything was shot at 1250 or above, so I go to everything that's in here, and I've got this set. Let's go in and let's create a preset right now. Let's go into Camera Raw. Here I've got Adobe Standard. I'm going to leave that for the color profile for now. I'm not going to monkey with that because I've already edited this wedding. If I go into the details section of this, I click on here, and let's say I don't use any other third-party denoising program, which Imagenomic, absolutely love their denoise program. I know there's a Perfectly Clear and everything else out there too. That's a wonderful program as well. But here, if I was going to apply some standard sharpening, here, well, let's apply my presets, my favorite presets already. If I go in and I set up, see, I don't have one for this. Let's create one. So I'm going to go in, just a standalone one. So I'm going to go into, oh gosh, that's high. Boom, detail, radius. Now masking, here's another thing about sharpening is if you hold the Alt key and drag this, I don't want the whole thing sharpened because it's going to look absolutely like doo-doo. I just want the fine lines figured out. So it shows you what's going to be sharpened. So that's what's affected. Here's the noise reduction part to it. So if I zoom in, I think I shot this on a D600. It's not bad. Here I'm going to use some noise reduction in here, and let's say jack this up to, let's say, 23. You say take a look at the before and after. So that kind of denoises it pretty well. Adobe's noise reduction has come a long way. It's not super great, but it's come a long way. I can jack up the color as well. All right, I'm probably going to back this off just a hair. All right, let's take a look at before and after. It's a little cleaner. The average person's never going to know this, but like I would know this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this preset. So I'm going to save this setting. And what do I want to save? I'm going to check none. Let's zoom in on this to take a look at what you're looking at here. And I want to get the sharpening, noise reduction, color noise reduction. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to bring up a separate window. Let's back out a little bit. And let's go into, I don't want to save this as this. And it saves this as an XMP file. Now this is something that you don't want to get rid of, because here's where all of your settings are found. So here's my camera raw settings, and then here's all of my different presets that I've saved here in this pile. Let's save this setting as dark room sharpening, and let's shorten that up. Darkroom sharp and noise reduction. Okay. Or how about low light? This is going to be a really long file name. Low light, sharp, and NR. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to hit done. Okay, so now that we've loaded that profile, how do we get that in our favorites, in our presets? And so we've created it. How do we get it there? And it's going to blow your mind on how you find this here. We're going to go into Open Camera Raw. And this little itty bitty guy right on the end, not snapshots, presets rather, is we're going to click on that, and you're going to see all of these other user presets that I've created. And we're going to find, to make this a favorite, we're going to find the LL sharp and noise reduction, and I'm just going to favorite that. And then it shows up in my list. That way, if I'm editing this for future use, if I go into my detail here, and I want to apply this favorite preset, well, now I just go to LL sharp and noise reduction. And that's it. That's super easy. If there's anyone else that has any other comments or questions on this, please reach out to me. Go ahead and ask away. I do like doing more research on some of this stuff. And so as you go through and you go through your own edits and pictures, you just get more attuned to what works for you in your workflow. I know this works for me. So with that said, have a great rest of the day. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you like this, please hit the thumbs up down below. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so. And if you do, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way when new content's pushed out, you'll be the first to know.